This is what's up. Okay, so here's the thing about me, is that a lot of people see me and they make a lot of assumptions about me. And I feel like that's only fair for me to give you a second to make your own, you know? Let's get this out of the way. No, I'm not a real youth pastor, okay? Yes, I look like one. It's unfortunate for everyone involved. And unfortunately, now I've convinced millions of people on the internet that I am one. That was not intentional. Because I am. I've been a comedian. It's weird because people, though, they will come up to me and they will be like, Ryan, like they will say things to my face because I think they understand this is the face of someone that won't fight back. Like, I'm just going to be like, please don't. I've had someone tell me that I look like a live-action version of Christopher Robin. It's a bit hurtful. He's anywhere from 5 to 6 years old, guys. I get it. It's the baby face. I understand that I'm the most generic-looking white dude that exists. Like I look like if Costco made people. I look like I'm Kirkland Fresh. That's pretty much it. Does he come with any special features? No, this is it. This is standard issue. I've been mistaken for a lot of things, and at one point, I had 4 different people in 1 week that did not know each other. And they came up to me, and they told me, Ryan, you look like a gay Hitler Youth. Whoa, hurtful is what that was. And here's the thing. Couple things about that. First off, curveball, I'm straight. No one ever sees that one coming. And second off, I'm Jewish. So, I'm as far on the other end of that as possible. I'm not fully Jewish. I think you guys can tell that. I'm Jewish. It's kind of it. Because I don't look Jewish. I look like someone that yells at Jewish people. And the fact that people laugh at that means it's true and not good. I do realize, though, that when things go bad for my people again, and historically speaking, they will, I'm going to be a great spy. It's going to be amazing. And I'm not saying that they do it again, but I am saying that the voice works perfect for it. So they'd be like, Ryan, did you check the synagogue for the Jews? And I'm going to be like, yeah, I did. Super weird. None of them were there. They're going to be like, why are the floors speaking Hebrew? And it's like, they do that. Shut up. Okay. What I'm trying to say is I'm going to make it. I'm going to be the reason. It's weird being Jewish because my last name should be Grossberg, which means disgusting city. That is not a win. My dad changed his name because his parents got divorced. And so now I'm the least Jewish-looking Jewish guy. Also, I'm from Missouri. So I'm just a redneck Jew, which makes no sense whatsoever. Because you are not expecting, I tell you what, Skeeter, I'll help you refinance your tractor. That's what I'm prepared for, though. It's strange. A lot of people do think I'm gay, and I know that because they come up to me and they go, "Are you gay?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Are you sure?" Well, yeah, that was Jeopardy. Ding, that was my final answer. And it's strange because I don't think it's like meteorology. It's like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, today we got a 15% chance of penis. Ooh, Tuesday's looking like 30%, and Wednesday it will be raining men. Hallelujah. I don't think it's like that. I've also had people come to me and they're like, Ryan, are you gay? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, you just don't know it yet. Like it's on a time delay? Like it's like, oh, we're just going to bake in all the respect for women. Like that's what I assume is why people think I'm gay. I don't know. Here's the thing. It's not like it's a time delay because can you imagine though if on your 18th birthday, you somehow figured out your sexuality every time? It would just totally change the life of the party. It would be like, hey guys, thanks for coming to, hey guys, thanks for coming. Be different. I was in the 6th grade at one point, shock of all shocks. And when I went, I was going to a pediatrician. And by the way, this is going to really solidify that I'm from Missouri, which is a little ding, 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 ding. It's something. And so I was going to the doctor, and I'm 12, and I sit down, and the doctor, he looks at me and goes, hey, Ryan, have you been kissing girls? And I'm like, no, because I had not been selected for that activity. Okay. I want to let you know something. I went from 5'1" to 6'1", and my weight didn't change, okay? I was a butterball. I was adorable, but not in like a girls like me kind of way. It was more like their moms like me kind of way. And here's the thing, is in the 6th grade, the girls in my class developed a color coding system to talk in code about the guys they liked. Yeah, they were talking in code, like the Zodiac Killer. And like, for instance, my buddy Josh was blue, my buddy Taylor was green, and I did not have a color. Which should let you know that I was not going to be kissed for a very long time. But the doctor hears that, and he's like, okay. And then he brings in my mom, and he goes, Mrs. Kelly, we'd like to put your son in a study. We think he might be gay, and we'd like to see how gay kids grow up. Let me just paint you this picture. I'm still sitting on the table, and I'm just sitting there like, would anyone like my opinion on that? And it was universally no. But then my mom had a very cool mom moment. Also, it's a weird thing. Can we agree that doctor took some leaps to get there? Like, it's like if I went out hunting, and then I came back, but I hadn't gotten a deer, and you're like, oh my gosh, Ryan works for PETA. No, that's not how that works. So my mom had a cool mom moment where she looked at my doctor and she was like, look, I don't care how my son ends up, whether straight or gay, but you're not allowed to study him like a lab rat with potentially amazing fashion sense. Thanks, Mom. Also, thank goodness they didn't study me, because do you know how confusing that would be? Is that we get to the end of it and it's like, what have we learned about gay kids? Apparently they like women. Would have been confusing. But here's the thing, we didn't go back to the doctor for 4 years. By the way, it's not like Missouri didn't have other doctors. My parents were like, it's that one or bust. So they just didn't take me back. And during that 4 years, I developed something called scoliosis. For those of you that don't know, that means I've got a 37-degree bend in my back, which does mean the doctor was kind of right, because I ended up heterosexual, but I did not end up straight. That is a long walk for a short sip of water, ladies and gentlemen. To end that one with a pun, thank you for walking through it with me. I have weird experiences with the doctors because I've got something. By the way, if you see me shaking up here, it's not because I'm nervous. It's because I've got something called an essential tremor, which means at random points my brain will send a message to my neck that it's like time for a dance party. Yeah, it's not cute, and I used to get nervous about it because here's the thing: what happened at the worst times? I've taken more blurry photos than Sasquatch. Okay, like in 100 years, people would be like, was he real? And the worst thing is like it would happen when I was trying to talk to girls, because I still get nervous talking to girls, but it would as well happen then. And so I went into the doctor to try to figure it out. And I walk into the doctor's office, the doctor's like, hey, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what? It's a bit aggressive. And I go, I shake, and she goes, I can tell. I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, you've got something called an essential tremor, which means we've got 3 options for you. I was like, ooh, tell me. She's like, the first option is we can put you on a blood thinner. Which, the idea of that is it's going to slow down your blood and you're not going to be shaking that much. But here's the thing, guys. If I'm trying to get better at talking to women and say I do, and then say, hypothetically, things progress from there, but I'm on a blood thinner. That's not something I'm going to be able to talk my way out of, okay? That's not, we're not playing those games. So I was like, no, that's causing a problem later. They're like, okay, well, the second thing, most people who have this develop an alcohol problem. That was it. That was the whole solution. That was just it. I was like, did you just say the solution was alcoholism? And she kind of looked at me like, spoil sport. You're like, you're clearly not one to party. And I get it. I don't look like a party guy. I look like a snitch. It's not cool. Like, I've never been offered drugs. I've never done any drugs because no one's offered them to me, because I look like if you handed me drugs, I'd go, I'm telling Dad. Yeah, so I didn't. And also, same thing, alcohol, a lot of, it's not going to be going well. So I was like, what's the third thing? And she's like, it's kind of experimental. And I'm like, the first 2 weren't? All right. She's like, well, what we can do is we can take you, we can strap you down to a chair, then we can take this sound gun, and we can fire it into your head, killing the part of your brain that makes you shake. What? No. No, I won't be doing that for a couple reasons. First off, I'm awkward. I'm not shot in the head level awkward, okay? Also, that is called a lobotomy. We've heard of them. They are bad. I don't know why when it's with sound, better, not better. Also, here's the thing. I shake in my neck, which means that say I was getting a little nervous about, I don't know, being shot in the head. And I'm sitting there and I start tremoring and they fire and they miss? What if they kill the wrong part of my brain? What if all of a sudden I can't remember the 4th grade? That's not cute. I can't be in my mid-20s relearning fractions. Yeah, that's going to put an end to my dating life immediately. Ryan, what's 20% of the bill? I don't know. So I took none of those options, obviously. And the thing about that is when it is now, I live with it. It's chill. It's fine. Mostly because what I found out is now I'm just upfront with women about that. And ladies, you are so forgiving. And ladies, I've found out women see the brighter side of things. Because I will be like, hey, I've got an essential tremor. And they're just like, oh my gosh, look at him. He comes with settings. Some of you have seen my TikToks and are like, these are not happy, wholesome Disney stories. That was spicy. Got a little spice. John recently, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but John got a girlfriend. Great for John. And someone came into one of my lives and they were like, Ryan, turns out nice guys do finish last. And of course we do. It's only polite. Anyway, life has been strange. The weirdest thing that I've ever been mistaken for is a gang member, like a real one. Your silence, I'm hoping, is shocked, because I was shocked too. And here's the thing: like, no one could picture me as a real gang member, but like a shark or a jet, oh, absolutely. Like I said before, I've got 2 college degrees. I've got 2 bachelors, and everyone assumes, is it musical theater and theater? No, it's not. But I get it. I give off those vibes. Here's the thing. I was leaving my buddy Kevin's house. Kevin lives in an area I describe as a bit gangy. It's a little spicy. And I'm walking home, and then 3 dudes who are all wearing the same color outfit. And it didn't look like, oh my gosh, guys, sale at Target, let's be twinsies. It looked very pre-planned. And they yell out at me, yo, Saber, what's up? I look around for whoever the heck Saber's supposed to be. Because if you look at me, the closest utensil I could ever be in the kitchen is not Saber, it's butter knife, okay? I'm not a threat to anyone except for like soft serve that's creamy. Like that's not... And I look around for the person who's probably gonna mug me and I notice there's no one there. And I'm like, well, that's better than expected. And so I look back at them and I go, me? And they go, yeah, man, get over here. And I did not get over there because I didn't want to be there when they figured out that I was not Saber. So I sprinted to my car, jumping in, and as I'm driving away, I'm just thinking, hold on, there is a gang member who looks like me. What could he possibly do for the gang? And I have a couple theories. I think gang accountant, oh, I would crush that easily. Plus, can you imagine meetings with a gang accountant Saber? Hello, guys, thanks for meeting me here. Okay. Well, if you look up at the board, yeah, oh my gosh, blow sales are down. Oh. How are we supposed to be putting hoes in different area codes? I don't know. That's clearly the sign that I've listened to 1 rap song total, and that's what I learned. It's like, hoes, area codes. Either that or gang HR. Oh, I would crush it. Mostly because I'm a listener. I'd be like, oh my gosh, tell me. No. How's the corner? Oh my gosh, stop telling me. Because here's the thing, I'm a good listener, but also easily startled. Here's the thing, I used to do that story, and I used to say the name of the gang. Because apparently, I don't like breathing. Because here's the thing, I didn't know it at the time, but like gang members are like pretty private about their lives, and they don't like people, even comedians, to talk about them on stage. And so I was doing a show in Orange County, specifically Long Beach, California, and I'm doing my show, and I spent a full 5 minutes just making fun of this very violent organization, like an idiot. And I step off stage, and the show is over, and a guy comes up to me and he goes, hey man, loved your set, I know Saber. Oh no. And here's the thing, it's fun because like most people, like no one in this room really knows how they're gonna die, but in that moment, I knew exactly how I was gonna die. And I knew I'd earned it too. This guy, he reaches behind his back and he pulls out his phone, thankfully. And he goes, yeah, man, this is him. And guys, I look exactly like Saber. I mean, it's crazy, like to a T. Eye color, hair, like style, it's insane. But he had just gotten arrested for a drive-by. And so not only was I looking like him, but I had cred. Shut up, that is amazing. If you had told me at any point in my life I was gonna have gang cred, I'd be like, not a chance, but I do. So I don't say the name of the gang anymore because I like to breathe. I went to college, and I went to college with my best friend. My best friend's name is TJ Noah. TJ is 6'3", 350 pounds, and he's just a whole bunch of Cuban love. He's delightful. I love him so much. But here's the thing, when you are like getting ready to live with people, you start to learn a lot about people. For instance, do you guys live in dorms? A good amount of you? Okay. Do you guys have suite style by chance? Does anybody know what that means? Okay. Well, so essentially, yeah, room, shared bathroom, room. That's going to be important later. Hang on to that nugget. So me and TJ move into a room that is like 90 total square feet. And we're both over 6 foot, and so we don't fit great in there. And one of the things I learned about TJ that I knew is that TJ loves to sing. He loves it so much, but he loves nothing more than a duet. And so one night, I'm getting in bed. We have bunk beds. I'm sleeping on top because obviously. I mean, like if I jump out of bed and hit him, mild inconvenience. If he jumps out of bed and hits me, call the morgue, okay? Not even the hospital. At the time, I was 6'1" and 125 pounds. There were saltine crackers that looked at me and were like, what? So TJ crawls into bed underneath me, and I'm sleeping. I'm getting ready to. And I just hear TJ go, Ryan, do the thing. No. He goes, Ryan, do the thing. No. And then he takes both of his hands, he puts them in the slats in between my bed, and just lifts up my mattress. I don't know if you've ever had a regular mattress that became a Tempur-Pedic. Fun. So I'm tilted up at this point, and I go, fine, and he drops me back down. Now I knew which song TJ wanted, because at the time, there was a song trending. It was by, I think you guys can all look at me and understand that I have listened to the white rapper Eminem. I'm sure many of you have as well. And if you don't remember, he had a mashup, or like a collaboration with pop sensation Rihanna. The song is Monster. And so I start from the top bucket and just go, I'm friends with a monster that's under my bed. And TJ, never to be outdone, I get along with the voices inside of my head. And then he just pulls up his blankets, goes, thanks, Ryan, I'm your monster, and goes to bed. I love this human being so much, but man, you do not, like, when you live with someone, you learn even their faults occasionally. For instance, me and TJ define the word some a little different. For instance, I came home and I just gotten Pringles, and I love me some Pringles. The correct and like the most delicious flavor is honey mustard. No, I will not be taking questions at this time. I will only be taking support for that opinion. But I open it up and he goes, hey, can I have some? And I'm like, sure. I was about 3 in. 3 Pringles total. I hand it to him, and then moments later, the sound I hear is an empty Pringles can hit my desk. Oh, we define some 100% differently. And so I look at TJ, and at that point, we establish something called the Pringles can rule, which means that for TJ to get Pringles, he has to put the can down, it has to be flat against something, and he is not allowed to use gravity or any other forces to get to it. But because he's got big hands, that's like 6 chips. Now, I had to add later, you can't use a vacuum because he's nothing if not creative. Also, one time I bought 4 cans of Pringles because I was stocking up, and then I came home and all 4 of them were open and 6 chips were missing off the top of all of them. The Pringles can rule had to get more and more specific as time went on. Now, one day, I started off college as an engineer. I didn't finish as an engineer because I just don't have that capacity at all. And if you don't know anything about engineers or people that are getting ready to drop an engineering program, they're sad. They're so sad. I was sad. And so I had class from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., then 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then from 10 to 10:30, we had something called chapel because we were at a Christian school, and so that was like a break. You could either use it to go to chapel, or you could use it to go back to your room and rethink the mistakes you were making being an engineer. I picked number 2. So one day, I'm walking back, and I open up my door, and I just see TJ, who is just wearing only boxers. He is standing over a can of Pringles, focused, shaking, sweating like he's just run a marathon. And I look at that, and fun fact, I'd love to be able to tell you that like I've lived a good enough life that TJ's boxers were buttoned. I haven't. And from what I can tell, he was excited to get those chips. And so I walk in on this, and I look at him, and I just go, "What are you doing?" And he, from here, looks up at me and loses focus. And when he loses focus, he forgets how much weight he's putting on the Pringles can, and he just Hulk smashes through it. I mean, it looked like Deadpool, like, oh my God, they're going to do a superhero landing. They're going to do a superhero landing. Boom! And the can splits in twain. Chips go everywhere. They're shattered. And he looks up at me, and I look up at him, and he just goes, I mean, technically, all the chips I'm able to pick up without moving a force, using gravity. I go like, you can have them. And that's when we stopped the Pringles can rule for my own mental health. TJ had as many as he wanted. TJ's one of these people, so for those of you that don't know, I have insomnia, sleep paralysis, night terrors, and I sleep sprint. Not walk, I've got places to be. Now, TJ sleeps like a dream. TJ could fall asleep on a ladder, and I've watched him do it. It's one of those things where, he is unable to be perturbed ever. And one night, there were guys on our floor that found something that they thought, this will be funny. And so I'm sleeping, and TJ is sleeping with his arm off the bed, I'm sleeping with my arm off the bed, and I wake up to hearing the sound of click. Those would be handcuffs. Because they decided, wouldn't it be funny if we handcuffed 2 people together, like just in the middle of the night? And so they click us together, and I wake up. Now, I was having a night terror, so I wake up, and I've got places to be. So I start running out of our room. Now, TJ, on the other hand, no places to be, very much still asleep. And again, TJ doubles me. And so it's kind of like what happens if you put a sparrow and attach it to an anchor. Because I turn, I go to run out my door, and when I run out my door, there is a cinder block wall right here, and that's when the ding happens, and I slam into the wall, and then I fall backwards into our room, and that's when TJ wakes up. And he looks at me, handcuffed to him, on our floor, in pain, and he just goes, Ryan, why'd you handcuff us together? And I just looked at him and I was like, because I thought it'd be fun. I thought it would be fun. It's just, I wanted to be closer to you. I don't know, does anybody just in here, quick show of hands, how long does it take you guys to get comfortable with your naked roommate? Yeah, good. Most of you are like me. Okay, cool. Because I didn't think, I don't know, I'm not a super private person, but I'm a pretty private person. And I think mostly, you talk to your roommate before you all of a sudden just drop trow. But that was not the case. One night it's 3 a.m, I'm doing an engineering paper, I'm doing my thing, and then I feel a disturbance in the force. There's a naked TJ, and I can feel it. And I have never focused harder on an engineering report in my entire life, because I was like, please don't look at him. If you don't acknowledge, this isn't real. But I heard him get up out of bed, and then he just was walking towards us. Now, my desk faced towards the wall, and TJ's desk faced away from the wall, so we're doing this. Now, when that happens, TJ walks by me, sits down in his chair, and tucks himself in, and puts on his headphones and starts playing a game called League of Legends. And I have night terrors, so I'm thinking, please wake up. Please wake up. Please wake up. And I never got to, because I looked over at TJ, and what I'm seeing is just a nice little tasteful side butt. Very tasteful. very side cheek. And he is playing this game, and then at one point, he finishes his game, he reaches up on his desk, which has an empty can of Planters peanuts on it, and he takes it underneath his desk. Ew. I don't know what empty can of nuts plus naked roommate equals, but I'm not here to find out, okay? And at that moment, TJ, sitting down at his desk, he had a spinny chair, which is perfect for this. He just sits there and turns around to me and goes, "Hey, Ryan, look, nuts." So what he had done is he'd repackaged his nuts, but he had covered himself tastefully, whole shebang. And for those that don't have a penis, let me explain something. When you add salt to that, it hurts like none other. And TJ didn't know that until that moment. And then as he's sitting there, I see his face change from a grin to, "Oh!" And he pulls off the can. So there's nothing tasteful about this now. And he just runs to our bathroom going, "Salt, salt, salt, salt!" Now, we share a suite-style bathroom with our suite mates who we have not met yet. We have one sink in that bathroom. TJ runs over to that sink and essentially just starts waterboarding his penis. Like, it looks like full CIA torture. Just, where are they? Where are the drugs? And I'm witnessing this happening, and I am cry-laughing at this point, because he tried to get me, he got himself. And we have at this point made a ruckus. We have caused a commotion, and our suite mates' door slowly opens. And they both pop their heads in like a freaking cartoon. And TJ looks over at them, just down in our sink at this point. He takes his hand off of himself and then sticks it out and goes, "Hi, I'm TJ." If you're thinking right now, "I wouldn't have shook that hand," good for you. And they also thought that. My suite mates looked at him and were like, "No." And then TJ, with infallible logic, just looks at him and goes, "Technically, I was just washing it, so, you know." And then they shook his hand. And in that moment, they immediately became closer to TJ than I hopefully ever will be. TJ's a delight. I was on the phone with TJ recently, and he said, "Ryan, I've got a fat story for you," which is a great start to any TJ story. Turns out TJ is in group 1C to get the COVID vaccine. That's like top 3. He's in the third, like, immediate group. And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because technically, I am so overweight that I need it. So that's right, Ryan. Being fat's saving my life. How's skinny doing for you?" And you know what? You can't fault him, and you can't really stop his infallible logic. He's a beautiful soul. We lived together for 4 years, and during that time, we also moved out. We moved into a house with some other guys. Now, if you've ever lived in a house with all dudes, I wouldn't recommend it because the collective IQ, I don't know, like, you can take a regular dude that is, like, pretty smart, you put him in a house with other guys, and it just drops to 12. Like, we're just not a smart group of people. And I know this because my buddy John lived there. Now, John is like 5'6", jacked. He is just, he probably didn't have an ounce of fat on him, but he was like pint-sized. It was amazing. And John, at one point, is the engineer of our house, and he is walking towards our microwave with a full can of ravioli. Like, he's gonna microwave the full can of ravioli. And I had to stop him by going, "No!" And he goes, "Why? What's wrong with it?" And I go, you aren't creating ravioli, you're creating a grenade. Okay? Here's the thing, I don't know, John did end up graduating as an engineer. He was in thermodynamics at the time that he tried his ravioli grenade. And all I'm saying is that if he builds bridges, don't get on them. One day we were hanging out. It's me, TJ, some of the other guys. We're just chilling. And we're getting ready to go over to a girl's house who was throwing a party. Right? Imagine, pre-COVID. It was beautiful. And so we're stoked, and we're sitting there. And John is nervous because he really likes this girl. And so he's like, "Hey, let's play Beerio Kart before we go." For those of you that don't know, Beerio Kart is where you play Mario Kart, but you have a beer, and you got to finish the beer before you finish the race. Now, I can't burp, so that means I can't drink beer because I get gaseous in my chest and I get very sad. Okay, so I can never win. I would defeat them in the race, but I couldn't get there. So I was like, look, man, I can't drink beer. What if we drank something else? And he goes, perfect. I got this 5-star whiskey. No. Here's the thing, I don't know if you've ever had 5-star whiskey. I'm pretty sure they sell like a gallon for like $6. It's negative 5-star whiskey at best. And so we start having some drinks, and we're playing Beerio Kart, and except now it's Whiskey-O Kart. And we're having a good time, and then we get taken over to their house. Now, their house is only like 8 blocks away, but we didn't want to drive, and so we were just like, so we just had our buddy Trey take us, who wasn't going to the party that night because he had things to do. Now, we get over to the party, we're hanging out, and all of us pretty much stop drinking, except for John. Because John is still nervous, and John is a lightweight, like just so lightweight. And it's because he's got no fat on him, nothing to absorb it. And the poor guy, at one point, I'm standing in the living room talking to someone. John comes into the room, puts both hands on my shoulders, and goes, Ryan, where's John? Now, fun fact about that, he's the only John at this party. So I look at him, I put my hands on his shoulders, and I go, you're John. And he goes, oh, thank God. And then he walks out of this party with no shoes on in Michigan during the winter. I don't know if you've ever seen something happening, and I looked out at him and I thought, oh, that's a problem for future Ryan. And present Ryan is going to be so hated by future Ryan. Yeah, he walks out. Now, 2 hours later, me and the guys are in a huddle. We're in the least athletic huddle you've ever seen in your entire life. And we're sitting there, and we're like, okay, where's John? And TJ looks at me and goes, you saw him last. And I go, no. And so I, at the time, had a breathalyzer on my keys. Always good to stay safe. And so I take it, and I look at my numbers, and I'm like, well, I'm not finding him. And so I pass it around. And so we pass it around to the guys, and none of us have the capacity to find John. And that's when I go to call my buddy Trey. Now, Trey, you thought was just in the story to just drop us off. No. Trey, I call him, and he picks up, and the conversation went a little something like this. Trey, we've lost John. No, I don't know where we lost it. If I knew that, why would I be calling you? Does that not make... Okay, I need you to go searching for John. And then I hear this come over the line, and I'll never forget it. Trey says, Ryan, I love you most times, but right now, I hate you so much. Trey gets in his car, a Honda CR-V, and he just starts going around through different neighborhoods looking for our lost friend. Now, at one point, he finds John. He comes back to the party to pick us up, and I see him as he opens the door for us idiots to jump in. John is in the backseat of the car with a blanket wrapped over him, looking like child services has taken him. He looks like in Sherlock when he's like, I'm in shock, I've got a blanket. Like, that's what we're looking at. And I jump in the back, and I get next to John. I put my arms around him, and I go, John, what happened? And he goes, Ryan, I'm so sorry. I walked back to our house, and I threw up all over your car. Now, it's in Michigan, which means it would have frozen and been disgusting. And if you can tell, I'm not mad. And that's because, no, he didn't. You see, I have a pretty generic-looking black car, which means John just found a random black car and just coded it. And someone had to wake up the next morning in a very unpleasant mood. And the reason I still tell this story is because at one point, I am just hoping that that person is in the audience of my show. And so that at one moment, they're going to be like, they're going to just scream out, like in Wrath of Khan, John! And that's how I'll know I found that person. Trey was an interesting person. Trey was great. Trey was John's roommate. Trey was gay, but no one believed he was gay, in the same way that I'm straight, and no one believed I was straight. So whenever we'd go out to bars together, we'd get hit on by the opposite people that we were interested in, and then we tried to do like the switcheroo, and it never worked. Turns out it just didn't work out for us, because Trey also had a beard, which I can't grow. My whole life depended on it. And I get that I'm a wafy dude, but like, I'm gonna need you to ask shocked about this next part, okay? I've been mugged. What? No, Ryan, you look so defensible. Now, I get it. I have been mugged. I used to live in Hollywood, which people think is like glitz and glam. No, that's Beverly Hills. Hollywood is sketchy. And I was at the time, I was doing stand-up at this Beetlejuice bar, because that's how you know you're killing it. It was across the street from Scientology, and at times I'd look across at them and be like, oh, look at them with purpose. Oh, beautiful. At one point, I was leaving this house, and I used to live across the street from the police station. Now, fun fact about Hollywood sidewalks. Hollywood sidewalks are paved like they happened during an earthquake, and they were like, that's fine. We never need to fix that. And so I live across the street from the police station, which I thought made I was safe. What the mugger thought was this is the best element of surprise ever. And he was right. Because I'm walking home doing this. That's still how I walk. It's still embarrassing. I'm walking home, and all of a sudden this guy, he was hiding behind like where the cop cars were kept. And he's just hiding back there. And then he steps out, and he's brandishing a knife. And I'm like, oh, no. Because when it comes to fight or flight, I'm obviously a flight kind of guy. You know, like this is not the face of fight back. And so I go to take a step to run, but because of the power of tequila and the sidewalks being like this, I take one step and I just hit the ground. And when I hit the ground, my very first thought is, well, I could probably possum my way out of this. And that's when I hear from above me, hey man, you okay? Which is super polite of a mugger. It's very nice. I look up at him and I go, yeah, that depends. Am I still being mugged? And he goes, yeah. Like he's just as disappointed as I am. Like, oh man, I wouldn't, but I got a quota to meet. The gang member, accountant Saber, he's really busting my balls for this. And so he then proceeds to help me up, which is a very sweet part of the story. And then he goes, okay, man, you know the drill. Which is so hurtful. Sir, can you act like this might potentially be my first mugging? Thank you. And I was like, I'll be cheeky, and it'll let me go. And so I was like, yeah, I'll be on my way home. And he goes, no, phone and wallet. And I go, nah. And he goes, what? And I go, what? And he goes, what? And I go, what? Because neither of us were expecting me to say no. But apparently the power of tequila gave me a little more gusto than I thought. And so when he does that, I look at him, and I go, how about this? How about I just give you $20, and you just go away? And he goes, really? Like, he's getting excited about the deal, guys. He wanted to be a business major his whole life. This is it in practice. And so I go, yeah, and then I opened up my wallet, which I don't mean to brag, but it had more than $20 in it. It had 23, which is about to become 3. So I take out the 20, and this guy sees that I've got more money, but says nothing. Like, what type of mugger would I be? If I went back on my word, do you think I'll be dishonest? Not a chance. So I hand him the $20, and he just takes it and runs away, and as he's running away, he just goes, thanks, man! Did I just get a thank you from a mugging? That was the most polite. I would 5-star Yelp review that mugging. It was wonderful. And for those curious, I still walked back that way because it's about building a brand, a relationship, you know? I'm hoping that at some point I'll get the friends and family discount, you know? Maybe next time it'll just be a cool $16, you know? That would be great. I've only got 3 left. Now, my favorite part about that story is that happened outside a police station, which means that they had it on the security cameras. And what they saw was this. They saw some goober idiot walking down the street at 3 in the morning. A guy comes out from behind something. He panics, falls to the ground, and is then assisted up and then pays that man for his assistance. That's not even a crime. That's just how goods and services are traded. I'm just hoping that at some point they use that footage in, like, mugging defense to be like, okay, here's what you do in case you ever approach a mugger. Whatever this idiot did, like, it's safe. I've had a lot of, like, weird near-death experience things happen to me. Knife thing, had that happen before. But, like, for instance, I've fallen asleep underwater, which is weird. I was getting scuba dive certified, and I hadn't slept for like 3 days, and it was 6 in the morning. We put on all of our stuff, and we were just supposed to be in the pool to kind of get acclimated to it, and our trainer goes, go sit at the bottom of the pool, as he was trying to help my mom with something. And so I go, and I lay on the bottom of the pool, and I just wedge myself against the wall so that it's being held in, and I just fall asleep, just unconscious. And my little brother finally wakes me up, and he's like, what are you doing? No more of that. But that's not the closest I've ever come to death. The closest, I'm going to need you guys to just be a little relaxed about this. I've survived a plane crash. So don't get weird about it. I get it. It's strange. And most people think it had to be scary, but that's not true. It took forever. Oh my gosh, by the time it was done, I was like, look, can we wrap this up? I've got places to be. And the places to be are all over the ground, I guess. But I did. I was flying back. I was with my family. We're flying from Newark, New Jersey to St. Louis, Missouri, which is where I'm originally from. And I get on the plane, and I sit down, and I sit in the emergency exit row with my little brother. Not because I was thinking time to save the day. I was thinking more legroom's nice. But in this case, it was going to go a little different. My parents sit behind me. We're in the emergency exit row, and we take off the ground, and we start going into the air, which is a good start for most flights. But we're immediately flying in an electrical storm. Now, been in turbulence before, lightning striking all around us. It's like, okay, this is not, but we're not going that high. And finally, after like 45 minutes, we bust through the electrical storm, and then we Mario Kart drifted this plane. I'm talking, we skirted it. It was seriously like, they're like, oh my gosh, 95 west, I thought you said 95 east, yeet! It was crazy. We turned the plane, and when this happened, we turned so sharply. 2 oxygen masks in the front of the plane deployed. Just 2. Just in the front of the plane. And fun fact about those people, they did not put on their masks. They would not be doing well in 2021, I tell you that for free. And when this happens, I'm looking, because they looked at it like, well, I don't want to be rude, I don't want to eat until everyone else has gotten their food. No, survive, okay? Also, fun fact, if I'd known that upgrading to first class came with survival, would have done it. It's a pretty important thing that I'd put in the marketing blurb. Now, when this happens, the pilot comes over and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, we're having some technical malfunctions. We're going to have to make an emergency landing. And with a voice like that, I was like, oh my gosh, even if we die, Tom Hanks is going to play him in the movie. Oh, I've always wanted to be in a Tom Hanks movie. This is how we get it. But that's when the flight attendants, I kid you not, come running through the cabin going, call your loved ones, call your loved ones, call your loved ones. Oh, no. We're getting some mixed results from the front of the cabin, And at that point, I was going to call people, but my family was all on board, and also my phone was dead, which I thought was very apropos. I was getting ready to join it. Now, at this point, it's important to note that my little brother, whenever he gets scared or nervous or injured, he just falls asleep. He just passes out. And so he hears this, decides, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, and falls asleep. Now, to clarify, he's unconscious. I have a tremor. We're the worst emergency exit row team in the history of the world. Just like, yeah, if you don't mind this, if you can just step over the body, I'll see if I can jimmy this loose. It's not going to go well. And I think it would be pretty impolite if during a crash I asked other people if you could find a different exit. It's not good. And so we start tilting down, and for the rest of the flight down, as we go back into Newark, we are tilted down like the top of a roller coaster right before you drop. The entire time. And when this happens, it's quiet. It's too quiet because both of our engines have overheated and shut down. Both is a fun word because it means two, but also all. So we're like fresh out of engines. And then there was icing on the wings. And at that point, I was like, why can I hear wind going by me? That's because the emergency exit row that I'm sitting in, the door not fully closed. Yeah, that's why we didn't go too high in the initial part, is because if they did, we'd lose pressurization, essentially. Now, at that point, I'm thinking, well, this is a lot of things that aren't up my alley. And so I'm hanging tough, and we go down, and we're coming back in too hot. Because here's the thing, they weren't able to refire the engines, and so at that point, you'd rather come in too fast than not fast enough, because if it's not fast enough, you hit trees. But if it's fast enough, you hit the ground, but enough that you're good about it. And so we hit the ground, and we hit the ground so hard that wheels on our right side pop and explode. And then when that happens, the plane tilts like this, like they were skipping a rock. It bounced and tilted, and I'm like, this isn't good! And then the wheels on the left side, when they hit, popped and exploded, and we skidded to the end of the runway. Now, as we're skidding to the end of the runway, I look out the window, and I see ambulances and fire trucks waiting for us. Which does answer the question, who was telling the truth earlier? It was not the pilots, definitely the flight attendants. So as I'm skidding to the end, I'm like, well, at least I know who was right. When that happens, we get to the end, we disembark. We're good. My little brother wakes up and decides that he doesn't want to fly again that night. And I'm like, you weren't even here for this. You can't take credit for that. Fun fact, I still fly to this day. I actually learned how to fly planes after that because I thought it would be an important thing to know, which is actually super dumb because it's not like an air emergency is going to be happening and they're going to look back and be like, does anybody have a second opinion on this? It's not going to happen. But I was in a different time zone than where my mom was. And I was getting ready to get on a flight. She already thought I was on the flight. And the way I say I love you to my mom is I loves you. I don't know why. That's just what I say. It doesn't help with the whole people think I'm gay thing. And so I text out, I loves you, but Apple just recently updated their autocorrect, and so it didn't say I loves you. It instead said, I loved you. Yeah. This is 3 weeks after that plane crash. And so my mom thinks that I'm 35,000 feet in the air, saying in the past tense that you love her. If you ever want to find out how much your mom loves you, do exactly what I did. And if she calls you less than 38 times, I guess my mom loves me more. I used to work at a place that you might have heard of. It's called Disneyland. I don't know. Are you guys familiar? I did. This is normally the part of the show where they're like, oh, this part, we know this part. I did. I worked for Disney. I took 2 bachelor's degrees, and I decided that the thing that I needed to do was dress up in spandex, pretend to be a teenager, and give hugs to kids. That should be illegal in every state, okay? Doesn't sound good, but yeah. I used to say that I was just an entertainment host, which is true. I did do that, but I was also Spider-Man, and I was a stormtrooper. And it was awesome. But here's the thing. They don't train you for that like you'd expect at all. In fact, for instance, I was trained, and they don't give you a name tag at first. They just have you show up like in a business casual look. So I'm just Ryan. And they will have you go talk to kids, talk to people randomly. That's kind of awkward. But this was the most awkward one. One time, my trainer comes up to me and just goes, hey, Ryan, I want you to go find a child under 12 and talk to them. No. I mean, no for a lot of reasons. Most notably, I'm a full-grown adult male. No, we don't have a good history with that. I don't think so. But I really need the job. This time my accounting job at Warner Brothers had just quit because when movies end, the job ends. So I was like, I need to pay rent. And so when your first question to a kid is, hey, you under 12? It's not going to go well, okay? The parents are looking at me like, see, these are the people we warned you about. And I'm like, no, they just haven't given me a name tag yet. But at this point, I'm like, okay, it's the parents that are making this awkward. So now I'm looking for kids without their parents. This is getting worse. And at that moment, I realized that this isn't good, but I did. I talked to enough kids, and they let me be all these jobs that I got to do. And there were definitely some highlights. There were also some weird lowlights. One time I got yelled at in Portuguese for not speaking Spanish. What? I don't know. If you're going to be mad that I don't speak a language, please at least yell at me in that language. I feel like that's appropriate. But I at one point was being trained as a stormtrooper. Now, as you know, stormtroopers are supposed to be bad guys. Here's the problem. I don't like that. I like being the nice guy. It's nice. And so you were not supposed to give hugs as a stormtrooper. And this is my last day of training, and we're walking back through the market. And fun facts, in those masks, you can't see almost anything. So I'm just walking, and I feel something little hit my knee. And I think, oh, that was a kid. And I step back, and I look down, and it's this little girl, and she's like 3 years old, dressed fully as Rey, and she steps back and unleashes her lightsaber, but it only goes halfway. And I'm looking at that like, that looks like a blood thinner. And so I fire off the line and I say, that's a nice lightsaber, young one. Hope it's just for practice. And then I hear a mom yell out, go get him, baby Rey. And I know at this moment I'm about to be struck by a lightsaber again. And at this point, this little girl musters up all of her courage and just runs towards me. And then she gives a hug to my leg. She comes up this tall. And here's the thing, as a stormtrooper, I'm not supposed to give hugs. Do you think I'm not going to hug that kid back? Of course I'm going to hug that kid back. And so I give her a hug, and they made the noise that you all just made of, aww. It was loud. It echoed. And I look up, and I see my trainer and my manager walking back towards me. I'm like, dang. So I'm walking out, and I hear my manager look at the trainer, go talk to him. And the trainer comes over and goes, Ryan, you're not supposed to do that. And then whispers, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen. as long as that manager's not around, go for it. And so I became the most huggable stormtrooper you have ever seen. It is a miracle that I was not fired far before Disney let all of us go. Being a stormtrooper was fun, but being Spider-Man was awesome because you are these kids' heroes. And it's a crazy thing because it was something I never really planned to do. It was just something that I like fit the suit, and that's what was up. And kids are amazing because they will say whatever is on their mind, ever. And at one point, I'm talking to this 5-year-old. He's got his 3-year-old little brother, and his 3-year-old little brother is just over here sitting there like this. He's looking completely perturbed. And I finish talking to the 5-year-old, and then the 3-year-old, I look up at him and I go, hey, you want to come over here and talk to me? And he goes, I can do that for you. Well, thank you, sir. And he walks on over. And I start talking to him and I go, what's on your mind, bud? And he goes, Southwest Airlines. I go, why? And he goes, because that's how we got here today. Do you know the bags fly free? Yeah, I did, but how do you know? Okay. And he just continues to rattle things off out about Southwest Airlines, including, which is my favorite part, how much web I would have to use to catch just the snack carts if the plane was crashing, then just the people, and then the whole plane if I was feeling up to it. And at that point, he leaves, and I want to let you know something. I used Southwest to get here today because I listened to that kid. I don't know if that was a tiny marketing agent, but it stuck home. I love that about kids. It's one of those things where sometimes the best part is not convincing kids that you're Spider-Man, but convincing the adults. Here's the thing. At one point, I was being Spider-Man, and there's a 6-year-old girl and a 4-year-old little boy, brother and sister, and they come running up to me. And the 6-year-old girl leans back. She's like, Mom, it's Spider-Man! And the mom goes, sure it is, sweetie. And it's like, we sometimes we have this thing as adults where we don't want to look dumb, so we just kind of flex our knowledge when we don't need to. It doesn't help. It doesn't take anything to just have that fun. But the little girl and little boy come up to me, and I start talking to them. We have a great conversation. They go, Spider-Man, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. And my first thought is, I'm not working tomorrow. But you can't say, please don't. That's not going to go well. So I go, sure, I'll see you tomorrow. Now, the next day I show up, I'm doing hosting things, but our Spider-Man would call out all the time because shockingly, doing like this all the time, we got bad knees. So they would call out, and then I got a call that day, and it was like, Ryan, we need you to come in and be Spider-Man. I was like, cool. And so I pop on in, and I see them again. Now, I've got a photographic memory, which means not only do I remember them by name. So I drop down, and I say their names, and they go, Mom, Spider-Man remembered us! And she goes, wow, yeah, he did. That's weird. And I talk to them again, and then they go, Spider-Man, tomorrow's our last day. We'll see you again. I'm again not working tomorrow. Please stop playing with fate. But they go away, and the next day I'm working something called Princess Dining, which is fun because you get to yelled out by guests and the princesses, which is a real enlightening experience. And so I was a host, and then I get a call, Ryan, we need you to Spider-Man. Go be. And so I do. I suit up, I get out there, and it starts to rain. And when it rains, we can't stay outside, so we're supposed to go inside, but I'm finishing up my line. I'm standing under a tree. I can see absolutely nothing. It's so hard to see in that. And then all of a sudden, I feel 2 little kids hit my legs. And it felt exactly like the Hoth scene from Star Wars. Like just, like they're about to AT-AT me. And when that happens, I don't fall over, and I look down, and it's them. And I drop down, and I say hi. I say them by name. And at that point, the mom looks over at me and goes, oh my God, you really are Spider-Man. It's kind of a beautiful moment. One of those things. If you ever saw videos of Spider-Man skipping, that would be me. And the reason why is because they were like, Ryan, you can't run in costume. And I was like, but can I skip? And they were like, why are you the way that you are? I was like, sorry about that. I'm going to take that as yes. And so I would skip all over the place because it was a faster way to get around. Now, I would also occasionally, if I was like leaving set, I would just go thwip, thwip, thwip as I skipped because I thought it was funny, and sometimes you got to make yourself laugh. Now, at one point, I'm skipping off stage, and a manager is coming out, and the manager looks at me and goes, what are you doing, Spider-Man? And I go, skipping. And he goes, no, turn around. And I turn around, and there are 14 little kids skipping behind me. Now, at that point, I look back and I say, I'm starting an army. Which is an inappropriate response. But at that moment, I turn around, I drop down on one knee, and I say, group hug. And all 14 of them came in for a group hug. And at that moment, I knew I wasn't doing my job right because I made a whole bunch of kids happy, but because they all definitely looked like they were under 12. It was fun. There's a lot of things that I've done as Spider-Man that I'm still thankful today. At one point, I stole all of the things that I wasn't supposed to, and I have a picture of me in Captain America's shield in the Spider-Man outfit with Thor's hammer. I'm also in Loki's helmet because I was trying to be the most worthy boy. I think it was definitely one of the most fun things I've ever done. I will tell you this because I think a college audience will appreciate it more. Has anyone in here ever been to Vegas? Wow, really? No? Oh my. Okay, yes. I was like, okay, well, look, this is the feedback portion. Like I say a thing, and y'all fire it back. This is what I will tell you is for the first time that I went to Vegas, I was 21. I actually, the first time I went drinking, I actually, seriously, I'm not even kidding, the first time I drank was at 21, which is weird when a bartender's like, it's your first drink, and I was like, no, it's my first drink, and then they give you your first drink, and then it hits you like a freight train, and they're like, oh my God, it was! It was. I went drinking with my mother and my grandmother on my 21st birthday because it was a Monday, and my 84-year-old grandmother drank me under the table. I haven't touched Jaeger since. Now, I'm 21, and I want to go to Vegas with my buddy Casey. Now, Casey loves music. We both love music, and I'm like, let's go to Vegas. Now, we are staying off the strip in this tiny little place, and we are just chilling, but we have these tickets for this beach club. It's called Tao Beach Club. Now, I get ready to go, and I am wearing, like, Sperry's, and I'm like wearing, like, shorts, and I've got, like a button-up shirt on. I look nice. It's not what I was supposed to look like, because the beach club, let's put it like this, there were stripper poles in the pools, okay? It was crazy, and I get there, I'm like, woo, and then we go over to get drinks, and they're like, yeah, it's like $16 a drink, and we're like, we're not drinking. Because here's the thing, I don't know, it seems like, especially in Vegas, like if you're a girl and you want to drink for free, this is how you do it. You go up and go, hi, I'm a girl, and I'd like to drink for free. And if you're a guy, that doesn't work nearly as well. I lack what I think like the cute ability. It doesn't happen. So for guys, I'm like, okay, well, we can't drink for free. Let's just go chill. So we go and we stand on the dance floor, and the dance floor is right next to two VIP sections. And this VIP section directly next to us has ordered 16 bottles of bottle service that night. I can't even fathom that kind of money ever. I don't know what that is. But we're dancing. It's EDM. We love EDM. And then it is blasting us with dry ice. Now, in front of us is a group of 8 people, 4 girls, 4 guys, really nice. Turns out they were actually from the same city we were from. That was weird. But they're like super nice, kind of like emo kids. And behind us are the 7 frattiest human beings that have ever existed in time. I mean, like taking a shot in the dark, I could have named all of them Tad, and probably 4 of them would have responded to it. And at one point, one of those guys who's behind it, and in between is just me and my buddy Casey. And one of my buddies, like one of those guys, all of a sudden comes forward and grabs one of the girls who's in front of us. And me and Casey didn't see it, but her boyfriend did. And this dude picked up that dude and just John Cena choke slammed him. Oh my gosh, I straight up heard dun 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 dun. It was incredible, and I was like, well, you get what you get. Like it's kind of that. But when that happened, the 6 remaining dudes from behind us and the 4 dudes in front of us rushed to come fight. And me and Casey are standing in between us, like, oh no. At this point, we can't get out of the fight. It's time to pick a side. Do we pick Team Horrible, or do we pick Team Emo Kid? So we picked Team Emo Kid, and I turn to my buddy Casey and I go, okay, you got right, I got left. And 3 dudes square up with each of us. Uh-oh. Now, to describe the 3 dudes that are in front of me, there are 2 guys, each a tad. They're both like 6'3", jacked. They probably weigh like 235 pounds. I am 6'1", which is tall-ish, but I also weigh about 155 pounds, okay? If a car ran over me, you'd hear a snap, okay? I weigh less than the average American male and female, meaning that anyone in this room could choke slam me, okay? And so what happens is I see these guys, and then they've got this one dude who's in front of them, and he's like 5'10", he's an Indian guy, and he looks like he owns these 2 pet white boys, is what this looks like. Now, one of the Tads steps up towards me, and fun fact, I actually have 7 years of competitive fight experience, which no one was expecting. And so one of these dudes steps up to me, and he's like, hey man, he's getting ready to say a sweary boy. He's about to mess me up. At that point, he wasn't wearing shoes, I was, and so I stepped on the heel of his foot, tucked my head underneath him, and he headbutted himself off me. Because I knew that if I throw a punch, I'm getting kicked out. I'm really enjoying this DJ. And so he does that, and he steps back, and he's holding his nose, and he's like, ah, and he is down for the count, because they'd all been drinking pretty heavily, and so he doesn't even know what happened. Now, the guy in front of me, the 5'10 guy, he sees that, and he goes, hey man, and he throws a punch, and guys, it was the wildest punch I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm pretty sure it hit the curvature of the earth when it was coming around. And so I just step out of the way, and he goes past me, and one of the guys on Team Emo Kid just drops him with an elbow. And I'm like, woo, Hercules, Hercules. I got teammates. So it's just me and Tad 2. And Tad 2 looks at me and he puts his hands up, and I'm like, look, man, I don't want to fight. And that's when the dry ice hits. But since now I'm facing backwards, the dry ice hits me in the back of the head and hits Tad in the front of the head. So he can't see anything. And I thought, this is my chance. And I go to throw a punch at where I thought Tad had been standing. Fun fact, apparently he'd moved. And so I didn't hit him as much as I glanced him, which is not what you want to do in a fight. And so when this happens, I glance him, the dry ice stops, I put my hands down, it looks like nothing has happened, but Tad is mad. And so he comes and he throws a punch that I swear to God, if it had made contact with me, I would not be standing here today, okay? It was like a full freight train. But again, he's so drunk that it's a wild one, so I just step out of the way. And at this point, I'm thinking, where are the massive Samoan bouncers that Vegas is known for? They all look like Rock's older brother. It's crazy. And so I see this hand and I pass it, and then it hits the stomach of one of those bouncers. Now, it would have killed me, but watching this fist hit that bouncer was like watching a smart car hit a brick wall. Nothing happened. It was just whoosh. And the bouncer pushes him back with one hand, and then this dude goes to throw another punch, but the bouncer takes a second push and just throws this guy into the pool. And I'm like, woo, that looked awesome. And I throw my hands up and I look over to Casey and I go, Casey, we did it. And that's when I went airborne. Because I didn't see the second bouncer, who then picked me up with one arm and picked Casey up with the other arm and just dropped us in the VIP section. And he goes, look, we saw what happened. You guys are good. Stay put. And in the VIP section, because those people were so annihilatedly hammered, they looked at us and they went, you guys, that was awesome. Do you want free drinks? Yeah, we do. And that's how you drink for free in Vegas as a guy. It's a much harder process. I will say this, life has been an experience. It's been a lot of different stories. Some of them have been near death. Some of them, mostly of them, have just been interesting parts of life. I don't know where you are at in life. I don't know. But I will tell you this. As someone that has been the lowest of the lows and is thankfully now in a different spot, I can tell you that it will work out. It might not work out the way you expect it to, but it will. I hope you all feel loved and feel appreciated. Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Ryan Kelly. Thanks.